Alright, so remember the time where I did a video talking about my thoughts on CubeCraft, and one of the things that I recommended in that video was that they changed up their knockback. Well, not even a week after that video, CubeCraft released a beta mode on their server testing out new knockback. Since then, my comment section has been flooded by people asking me to do a video on the new knockback, and I've even said on stream that I was gonna wait until it rolled out to the entire server before I make a video on it, and I even made a community post saying that I'll make a video about it eventually. Well, the comments never stopped, and it still seems like you guys really want to hear my opinions on this new CubeCraft knockback, so in this video, I'm gonna do just that. Be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and enjoy! Now, I don't know if the new knockback is a direct result of my first video on CubeCraft, and I say this because Team Termite, a big CubeCraft YouTuber, said that the new knockback was already planned before I even made my video. My video might have helped move things along, but I just want you guys to know that I'm not some magical wizard who can make a video on a server and get them to fix everything, okay? Either way, let's talk about how you can play CubeCraft's new beta knockback mode and what it's like. So, if you spawn into the CubeCraft main hub and you walk forward, there will be a giant NPC which you can click on and it'll take you straight into a game. Once you make it in, someone probably named Potato Pie 25 will vote for overpowered items. I personally believe that this is the most fun way to play the game just because you get better gear and overall more stuff. After that, it just kinda plays out like a normal Skywars game. Loot your island, go mid, get gear there, and just fight everyone and hope you win. The games do seem to play out more quickly than Hive or other servers, but that might also be because of how compact the maps are, but also the fact that there's no device-based matchmaking. I'll discuss this more later, but basically you're going to be running into a lot of mobile and controller players if you're a PC player, which might make the games a little bit easier. Other than that, one of the main things you might notice is that the knockback is obviously quite a lot different than normal CubeCraft knockback. You can actually combo people into the air, unlike other CubeCraft game modes where the server kind of decides whether someone takes 0 knockback or extreme knockback. I talked about all of this in my previous video on CubeCraft, so if you'd like to know what I'm talking about, you can go watch that video where it's linked up in the top right. Now, being a Hive player, this knockback on CubeCraft is honestly really good. However, again, as a Hive player, another thing that I've noticed is that snowballs don't really work in the way that they do on the Hive on CubeCraft. When you right click to throw them, it takes like half a second before it actually throws, which is enough delay to kind of throw me off when I'm trying to snowball combo. And even if you can hit them with a snowball in time, snowball comboing just isn't really a thing because snowballs don't really seem to work in the same way that they do on the Hive. They seem to have more velocity, meaning that they go further when thrown, but they also don't do as much knockback. This isn't necessarily a bad thing since in the past I've said that snowballs in the Hive are kind of broken in a way, but all I'm saying is that it's just something very different to get used to. There's also the obvious thing that I talked about in my last CubeCraft video, which is the fact that I play CubeCraft on 100 ping because they only have EU servers, and obviously this makes PvP a little bit different as it does if you play Hive on EU servers if you're from the US. Hits are a little bit delayed and combat is a little bit laggier overall, but I still think that the new knockback outweighs the downsides of playing on 100 ping. It feels way more skill-based as opposed to the current CubeCraft knockback, which is more like the server randomly decides who gets to take knockback. However, many CubeCraft players disagree with me on the fact that the new CubeCraft beta knockback is good and feels more skill-based. People in my Discord have been talking about it quite a lot, and I even talked to some players on the CubeCraft server, and most of them either didn't like it or were indifferent about it. This was wild for me to hear at first because I figured who wouldn't like this new knockback, but then I had to step back and realize that I am a Hive player and that this knockback makes sense to me, whereas CubeCraft players may have no idea what's really going on. I've also seen lots of touch players saying that they're having difficulty with the new CubeCraft knockback just because it's a lot more difficult for them to combo. I said in my other CubeCraft video that since knockback doesn't really exist on CubeCraft, they really just have to try and aim and tap on the other player, which might make CubeCraft PvP a little bit easier for touch players. I still stand by my word that the new CubeCraft knockback testing does make the game a lot more skill-based, and if you're good on mobile, you should still be able to compete very well. See players like Oreologist for an example. There's also the issue that device-based matchmaking isn't a thing on CubeCraft yet, which means no matter what device you're playing on, you're gonna be playing with people on PC, mobile, and console. That's just how it is. This makes the game unbalanced because in most fights, a keyboard and mouse player is going to win against a controller or mobile players. That's just kind of how it is. I would definitely vouch for device-based matchmaking just to make the games more enjoyable for everyone. Alright, now let's move on and talk about what the new knockback testing means for CubeCraft as a whole. I think the biggest thing that we can take away from this is the fact that CubeCraft is willing to listen. I'm sure that if you play on other servers, you probably have seen staff say, oh yeah, we're interested in hearing what you have to say about the server, and then maybe even say, hey, okay, we'll make changes to this eventually, but then they never do. This happens on a lot of the Bedrock Edition featured servers and just even a lot of other servers on Minecraft as a whole. The fact that CubeCraft listens to their community, especially since CubeCraft players have been asking for new knockback for a while, and the fact that CubeCraft as a result is doing some testing of new knockback increases my respect for them a lot. There's even a post on the CubeCraft forums asking for people's feedback about the knockback, and it seems like they're open to making more changes about it depending on the community's perception of it. For example, Insane Orbits said that the vertical knockback wasn't high enough, and I somewhat agree with them. I think to get even better combos, I think the vertical knockback should be better. Maybe it's something they'll change, or maybe it isn't, I don't know, but it's just good to see that CubeCraft is legitimately interested in making their players' experiences better by listening to the community. Another thing that this means for CubeCraft, if the knockback update gets pushed out to the entire server, is that you might start seeing more Hive players on CubeCraft as a result. If the servers as a whole start having more similar knockback, I could definitely see myself at least playing more on CubeCraft just because the games are more enjoyable. I could probably say the same for quite a lot of my friends as well. Overall, I think these new knockback changes just make the server appeal to a wider audience, and I would hope that most CubeCraft players would realize that that's a good thing. Having more players on a server means more incentive for the server to do more things that more players would like, if that makes sense. Maybe not, I just said more like 5 times. I also hope that these new changes do inspire more creators to make more content on CubeCraft. I feel like for its player count, the amount of people making content on it is seriously underrepresented, and so I seriously hope that we can see more stuff from CubeCraft in the future. Oh yeah, before we end, also I would like to discuss one more thing that isn't related to CubeCraft Knockback, but it's related to CubeCraft and its creators. Please CubeCraft add /Nick. It works on Java, but it doesn't work on Bedrock, it just opens a large chest. I've experienced this a little bit, but many of the other larger CubeCraft creators have talked about getting recognized constantly in games, and there's literally nothing they can do about it other than going on an alt. Alright, that's all I have to say about that. Thank you so much for watching. Before we end the video, I'd like to give a huge shout out to my channel members. As always, their names are displayed up on screen as a huge token of gratitude, and if you'd like to become a channel member, you can do so by clicking the join button next to the subscribe button, or by clicking the link in the description. Big shout out once again to everyone who supports me in the form of membership or a Twitch sub. You guys are seriously greatly appreciated. Speaking of Twitch, you should go follow me there. I pretty much stream every day there now instead of YouTube, so if you'd like to go check me out, the link is also in the description. That's all I have to say. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.